Most people don't hide who they are with their words. They hide with timing. They hide with charm, with politeness, with good manners, with the right phrases, with emotional intelligence used in the wrong way. That's why it can take people years to realize who someone really is. Not because the signs weren't there, but because they were looking in the wrong place. They were listening to promises, to explanations, to self-descriptions. But character is almost never found there. Character shows up in patterns, in pressure, in small moments, in the parts of life where there is no performance to gain anything from. And once you really understand that, reading people becomes a lot simpler. Not easy, but simpler. Because in my opinion, if you really want to see someone's true character, you do not need to study 100 things. You need to pay close attention to just 2. That's it. 2 things that reveal more than charm ever can, more than words ever can, more than how someone presents themselves in easy situations ever can. And the reason this matters is because a lot of pain comes from meeting someone's persona before you ever meet the real person. Jung talked about the persona as the mask people wear to function in the world. The socially acceptable self, the polished self, the self that knows how to be likable, impressive, safe, agreeable. But the mask is not the whole person. The real person starts showing up when the mask gets tired, or when life puts pressure on it. That's where character comes in. So let's go straight to it. If you want to see someone's true character, pay attention to these 2 things. First, how they treat people who can do nothing for them. And second, who they become when they don't get what they want. Those 2 things will tell you almost everything. Now, let's break them down. 1. Watch how they treat people who can do nothing for them. This is probably the clearest window into someone's character. How do they treat people they don't need? Not the boss, not the attractive person, not the person with status, not the person they're trying to impress, not the person with influence. How do they treat the waiter, the cleaner, the quiet friend, the awkward person in the room, the family member who can't offer them anything, the partner when there's nothing exciting to gain in that moment, the person who has less social value in the eyes of the world? That's where character gets honest. Because when there's no reward on the table, people stop managing themselves as carefully. And that's when you start seeing whether their kindness is real or strategic. A lot of people are generous when generosity is profitable. A lot of people are respectful when respect helps their image. A lot of people are thoughtful when thoughtfulness gets them admiration. But remove the benefit, and suddenly the warmth disappears. That's revealing, because real character is not just about how someone behaves when they are being watched by people they want something from. It's about how they behave when there is no obvious social or emotional return. That's why I always think one of the biggest mistakes people make is judging character based on how someone treats them in the beginning. Because in the beginning, many people are on their best behavior with you, especially if they want access, affection, trust, attention, a relationship, validation, a certain image. But if you really want to understand them, don't only ask, how do they treat me? Ask, how do they treat people they are not trying to win? That question changes everything. Because some people are wonderful when there is something to gain. They become attentive, charming, emotionally intelligent, even generous. But the moment the person in front of them is no longer useful, impressive, attractive, or strategically valuable, their tone changes, their patience drops, their empathy disappears, their respect gets thinner. And that's not a small thing. That's not just a bad mood. That tells you their morality may be conditional. It tells you they may not actually value people. They may value hierarchy. And there's a huge difference between those 2 things. Jung would probably say that this is one place where the shadow leaks through. Because when someone treats people beneath them badly, What you're really seeing is not just rudeness. You're seeing what happens when empathy is removed and the ego no longer has to pretend equality. You're seeing how they relate to power. That matters, because the way people treat the powerless tells you how they would treat you if one day you lost your usefulness to them. That's the part people miss. They think, well, they've always been good to me. Maybe. But were they good to you because they're good? Or because you currently occupy a place they value? Those are not the same thing. And life has a way of changing positions. One day you may be admired. Another day you may be struggling. One day you may be useful. Another day you may need more than you can give. One day you may be in their good graces. Another day you may disappoint them. If someone's kindness depends on status, convenience, attraction, or advantage, then sooner or later you will feel the shift too. And when it happens, it usually shocks people because they say, I never thought they were like that. But often they were like that all along. You just weren't in the category that received it yet. So yes, watch the small moments. Watch how they speak to service staff. Watch whether they become irritated with people who can't elevate them. Watch how they handle someone who is slower, less polished, less socially smooth, less impressive. Watch whether they keep their dignity when no reward is involved, because anyone can act kind upward. Character is revealed sideways and downward, and there's something else here too. Sometimes it's not even about rudeness. Sometimes it's about dismissal. A person may not openly insult someone. They may just become colder, shorter, less patient, less human. That's still revealing, because contempt does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it shows up as reduced humanity, as if the other person matters less because they have less to offer. And when you see that in someone, believe it. Not dramatically, not cynically, just clearly, because no amount of charm makes up for conditional respect. And if you've ever had this experience, I want to ask you something, because I think a lot of people relate to this quietly. Have you ever noticed someone treat you wonderfully until they no longer needed anything from you? What changed first? Their tone, their effort, or their respect? That question alone says a lot. Watch who they become when they don't get what they want. This is the second thing, and honestly, this might be the deeper one. Who does a person become when life frustrates them, when they don't get chosen, when they don't get praised, when they don't get control, when they don't get immediate understanding, when they don't get their way, when they feel disappointed, embarrassed, corrected, ignored, or challenged? Because that is where the mask starts slipping. Easy seasons hide a lot. Anybody can look emotionally healthy when life is cooperating. Anybody can look patient when nothing is triggering them. Anybody can look generous when they're winning. Anybody can look secure when they feel admired. But frustration is revealing. Disappointment is revealing. Powerlessness is revealing. Rejection is revealing. Because those moments touch the ego. And Jung understood that what remains unconscious tends to emerge when the ego is threatened. That's why some people seem kind until they hear no, kind until they feel rejected, kind until you set a boundary, kind until you stop agreeing with them, kind until they feel less special, kind until they feel exposed. Then suddenly they become someone else, more cold, more punishing, more passive-aggressive, more manipulative, more dismissive, more childish, more cruel, more entitled. That shift tells you a lot, because it shows you whether the kindness was rooted in values or in emotional convenience. This matters so much in relationships. Friendships too. A person can appear deeply loving while everything is working in their favor. But what happens when you disappoint them? What happens when you're tired? What happens when you say no? What happens when you don't feed their image of themselves? What happens when they lose control over your attention? That version of them, the version that shows up under frustration, that's the one you need to pay attention to. Not because people can't have bad moments. Of course they can. Everyone gets hurt. Everyone gets reactive sometimes. Everyone gets disappointed. That's not the point. The point is pattern. What direction do they go in when life bruises their ego? Do they become honest, reflective, able to regulate themselves, able to own their disappointment without making it your punishment? Or do they become vindictive, withdrawn in a controlling way, passive-aggressive, mean, emotionally chaotic, secretly punishing? There's a huge difference, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. A person's true level of maturity is rarely revealed in how loving they are when satisfied. It's revealed in how they behave when deprived of what they wanted. That's why rejection and boundaries are such powerful truth-tellers. Tell someone no. Disagree with them calmly. Set a limit. Withdraw access. Stop over-explaining. Stop over-giving. Refuse to play the old role they benefited from. Now watch. Do they still respect you, or do they become a quieter version of hostile? That tells you whether they loved you, or loved their influence over you, and that is a painful distinction, but an important one. Jung might frame this as the confrontation with the shadow. The shadow is not just the ugly parts people hide from others. It's also the parts they hide from themselves. Entitlement, envy, cruelty, need for control, insecurity, dependency on admiration, the inability to tolerate not getting their way. A lot of people don't know these parts are in them until life brings them out. And when they come out, they often come out relationally, not in private, in how they treat others. That's why you should always pay attention to how someone handles frustration. Not just major crisis, small frustration too. The delayed reply, the cancelled plan, the disagreement, the inconvenience, the moment they are not centered in the room. Because if a person becomes ugly whenever reality stops feeding them exactly what they want, then what you're seeing is not just stress. You're seeing how thin the mask really is. And yes, sometimes the most revealing moments are small, not dramatic betrayals, tiny moments. How someone reacts when corrected, how they react when embarrassed, how they react when you succeed and they don't, how they react when they feel overlooked. Those are character moments, because those moments reveal whether the person is governed by principle or by wounded ego. And honestly, this is where a lot of people get trapped. They fall in love with the version of someone that exists in ease, but life is not made of ease. So eventually they meet the version that emerges in pressure, and they feel blindsided. But pressure didn't create that character. Pressure revealed it. Why these two things matter more than almost anything else. If you really think about it, these two things cover almost everything. How someone treats people they don't need, and who they become when they don't get what they want. Because together they tell you how they handle power, how they handle frustration, how real their empathy is, whether their respect is conditional, whether their kindness is strategic, whether their ego runs the relationship, whether they value people or only value usefulness, whether they can remain decent when life stops flattering them. That's almost the whole map. You don't need to overcomplicate it. A lot of people spend years trying to decode mixed signals because they're focusing on chemistry, words, promises, charm, effort in good seasons. But real character is much less glamorous than that. It's repetitive, quiet, consistent. It shows up in the places where no one is supposed to be taking notes. And maybe that's the real twist here. People often try to judge character by how a person performs in emotionally charged moments of closeness. But sometimes the clearest truth is found in ordinary behavior. The simple stuff. The way they handle a stranger. The way they handle not getting their way. The way they handle small disappointments. The way they handle people they can't use. The way they handle limits. Those things are not random. They are the fingerprints of character, a deeper Carl Jung layer. And if we go one layer deeper, this whole conversation is really about the difference between persona and integration. A lot of people have a very polished persona. They know how to look good. They know how to say the right thing. They know how to appear compassionate, evolved, fair, emotionally intelligent. But if that image is not supported by real inner work, life eventually exposes the gap. That's the thing about the shadow. You can ignore it for a while, dress it well, speak softly over it, moralize over it, spiritualize over it. But eventually, it leaks. Especially in the two exact places we're talking about, power and frustration. Power reveals whether someone sees others as fully human. Frustration reveals whether they can stay human when they are emotionally activated. That's why these two things matter so much. They reveal whether a person is actually integrated or just well presented. And there's a huge difference between those two. An integrated person is not perfect. They still have flaws, still get upset, still have ego, still have limits, but they tend to take responsibility faster. They tend to stay anchored in basic respect. They tend not to become cruel just because life bruised them. They tend not to dehumanize people just because there's no benefit in being kind. That's character. Not perfection, not performance. Character. What to do when you see the truth. Now, this part matters, because understanding character is not about becoming cynical. It's not about distrusting everyone. It's not about waiting for people to fail some secret test. It's about becoming clear. That's all. Clear enough to stop making excuses for patterns. Clear enough to stop romanticizing potential. Clear enough to stop being shocked by what someone has already shown more than once. If a person repeatedly disrespects those beneath them, believe what that says. If a person repeatedly becomes controlling, punishing, or passive-aggressive when they don't get what they want, believe what that says. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to diagnose them. You don't even have to argue with them. But you do need to stop lying to yourself, because so much suffering comes from not the absence of signs, but the refusal to trust them. And sometimes that refusal comes from hope, sometimes from attraction, sometimes from history, sometimes from loneliness, sometimes from wanting the story to be different. That's human. But clarity is mercy, especially in relationships, especially in friendships, especially in family dynamics. The sooner you see character clearly, the less likely you are to keep handing your piece to someone whose mask is kinder than their actual nature. So if you really want to see someone's true character, don't get lost in all the noise. Pay attention to just these two things: how they treat people who can do nothing for them, and who they become when they don't get what they want. That's it. Because those two things reveal what charm hides. They reveal whether respect is real or conditional, whether kindness is rooted in values or convenience, whether frustration turns them selfish, cruel, manipulative, childish, or honest, whether their humanity survives when life stops revolving around them. And once you start watching those two things, people become much easier to understand. Not because human beings are simple, but because character leaves traces, always, in the way someone handles those beneath them, and in the way they handle being denied. So maybe the goal is not to become paranoid. Maybe it's just to become observant enough that you stop ignoring what is already being shown to you. And maybe that's the quiet lesson underneath all of this. A person's true character is rarely found in what they say about themselves. It's found in the moments where life stops helping them maintain the image they prefer. If this connected with your experience, here's the question I really want to leave you with. What exposed someone's true character faster in your life? The way they treated people beneath them, or the way they acted when they didn't get what they wanted? That question will probably bring up a face almost immediately. And that alone tells you how real this is. If this spoke to you, comment. Pressure reveals character.